Hello, friends, and welcome back to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers. And the Zyuohger stuff continues. Today we're taking a look at the Cube Crocodile, Cube Wolf, and Cube Rhino, or Rhinoceros. It's not really a cube. And together they make, of course, Tousai Zyuoh. And, we all knew this was coming, because I mentioned previously, but here it is, and this thing looks pretty darn great. Yeah, the Rhino is not actually a cube. It's like a boxy looking car, but it's still pretty cool. You've got the cube-ish grill there, and it does read as a rhinoceros because you've got the giant horn, and there you've got the rather angry looking eyes, 9 on the side there as well, and is of course covered in all kinds of interesting textures. And I really like the black and gold color scheme. Black and gold is always a good color scheme, but yeah, it looks good. It's a little, little stumpy, but it gets the job done, and it also functions as sort of like a cube carrier. And you can stack the other cubes in there as well. But these actually do clip in, as you can see. They're just clips on the inside here, where the bottoms of the cubes will clip onto. And get 7 and 8 out of the way temporarily so that we can get a closer look at this. And the carrier also looks pretty nice. We've got just, again, the black and gold, a little bit of white. Some really nice textural detail here and there, and it does look very, very nice. If you flip it around the other side, there's a little bit less painted detail. Like here you've got that white stripe and then the gold in the center. Here all you have are those gold lines, but it's better than nothing. There are some figures I've seen where they don't bother to paint one side at all. So that looks pretty good. And of course we have number 7, Crocodile, which is this weird kind of mustardy yellow color, which I'm not super into, but it works. It's unfortunately distorted in the front here because of the transformation, but it's okay. And there are some very nice textural details all around this as well. And here you've got the pants mode, which I really hate this for reasons that aren't necessarily related to the hinges that are destroying the look of this. I don't like trying to use these as pants because 1, the mustard yellow color does not work with anything else, and 2, comparatively, there's so little going on here, just in terms of the actual painted detail. It's just kind of sad. But no one's going to get the Crocodile for pants. Just like no one's going to get the Wolf for shoes, because, yeah, the Wolf, number 8, has shoes mode, and while the texture is nice, and I like the gold claw feet-looking things, and you can see there is some nice molded detail in there, but, there's no paint! There's practically no paint compared to the other foot modes. It just doesn't quite stand out. I guess it's not necessarily that there's not as much paint, it's just the color and what was painted, it looks like a big slab of gray with a little bit of gold at the bottom. But the rest of it, you do have some nice texture going around. And I like how there's this sort of corner that's made to kind of be gold-ish. It doesn't look bad, it's just, it's it's a cube. They're all cubes. And to get them into their animal modes, it's pretty straightforward. The Rhino... There, we're done with the Rhino. And for the Crocodile, I'm going to take these 2 bits here, which are these ugly hinges here, and just pop those up and flip them around. The same here. and they both connect in the middle. And then flip this around here, you can flip this up and get that clicked into place. Sorry, doing this one-handed. Flip that up and clip that down, and there you have Cube Crocodile. And I actually really like the Crocodile mode on Cube Crocodile, even though I'm still not a fan of the mustard yellow color. There is some nice detail here, like the croc face looks really good. The texture that they've molded in, both the top and bottom, and also how they painted the underside is really nice. And then this also now, these little accents obviously become the crocodile belly. And there is a molded crocodile belly underneath, molded back. Like, they did some nice work here. I also like how they alternated with the black and silver to really make those teeth stand out. And there's an extra, when you're transforming them, there's an extra sort of locking point for the ratchets there that allows you to actually pose him with his mouth open. And when the mouth is open, you can see that some of that detail from the cube mode is actually meant to be like the roof of the crocodile's mouth and a tongue, which is neat. I do like that quite a bit. And Wolf is simpler. It's always confusing for me to try and remember like where you start the transformation, but I try and remember it's just this corner here where it obviously pulls away. So you just pull that out, and that hinges around and clicks in there. And then you just flip out the head. Whoop. And there you have the wolf. And I like the shape of the wolf, although it reads more as a badger than a wolf to me. Also like the head. It's a nice head, but again, it kind of reads more as a badger than a wolf to me. But still, I mean, you get the little feets, little tiny feets, and then this little bit kind of sort of makes a tail. It's okay. It does the job. Scoot all this back so you can actually see everything. So yeah, I don't dislike Wolf, but I like Crocodile much more. And I also feel like they did have to sacrifice a fair bit for Wolf, because Wolf does a lot of things, which we will get into now. Here we have Tousai Zyuoh all transformed up, and I do like this guy. This is, I mean, it's simple. They're all simple, but it's simple, but I like how the carrier ends up becoming the torso and shoulders. I like how the horn ends up becoming like a fist, and then the crocodile becomes like a chompy hand. And I do think it's neat how by turning the rhinoceros, just by turning the head up and facing it this way, it totally works as legs. And you actually kind of lose the eyes from this angle too, which is kind of incredible when you think about it. Yeah, the fist, like the horn totally works as a fist from that angle. It's just, I am always impressed with how the designers for the Zyuohger line have managed to do so much with just basic shapes. Like really simple transformation tricks and really simple tricks of just angle, positioning, and stuff like that can completely change how some details read. Like looking at this just in Rhino mode, it doesn't look like legs, but then suddenly contextually you set it up like this and it works as legs. It's really, really cool how they do that. And also you've got the head and chest, which look really nice. I mean, it's, you know, blocky, obviously, but I kind of am really into this. I like how it's just like this big, chunky torso where he doesn't really seem to have a neck, and the face looks really nice. I mean, it's a little flat, but it does look nice. And I like the black and gold going on in the head there, and for the face, it's just bunch of silver, and it's actually a little bit bigger than Zyuohger's face. Which, I mean, I guess it stands to reason because this guy is a little bigger than Zyuohger, but still, it's a nice bit of detail. And then you've also got the little symbols for the crocodile, rhino, and wolf in the chest there too, which also is a really nice touch. I really do like this guy. This guy is quite neat, and he has his own signature weapon, which is the bat or owl. So that's just a matter of flip it open, keep everything kind of just flat, and then flip this little handle out. Now in the pictures I've seen, this is meant to peg into the crocodile hand. I actually prefer to peg it into this hand because it's the same thing with Wild Zyuohger, where by giving the smaller hand the big weapon, it kind of offsets that asymmetry a little bit. And I mean, that hand is still obviously smaller than the massive brick that is the crocodile hand, but I think that works to kind of balance it out a little bit more. But where would we be without a comparison? So, bring in Zyuohger. Have to move everyone back, I think. Bring in Zyuohger. And come here, you. And Zyuoh Wild. Will that actually be in frame there? That is just barely in frame, but yes. So there you can see, if I try and get them actually standing next to each other. He is a bit taller than either one of them, which stands to reason. And there you can see there's everyone with their signature weapons. The the bear or jaguar doesn't really have anywhere to be right now. I mean, you could easily put him in either any one of them in any of their hands, but for now, just sitting off to the side, all dejected and alone. Yeah, these look good together, and since I didn't do it before, because as I constantly maintain, I'm terrible at remembering to do this, do size comparisons. So there is Samus, and there is a Titan's Return Deluxe, and you can see how big all of these are, really. And they're a good size. And while Tousai Zyuoh does stand out a bit because he's not entirely made of bricks, like Wild Zyuohger, I keep doing that, like Zyuohger and Zyuoh Wild are, I think he actually does kind of fit. You know, he's a little different, but there are enough elements, like the actual cube shape for the crocodile fist and the boxy torso and just the very square kind of visual elements. I think it all does kind of tie together. And even here, if I bring this arm back down, you can see there's this sort of V-shaped line going from the shoulders across the chest that kind of is mimicked in all of them. Like Zyuohger, Tousai Zyuoh, Zyuoh Wild, they all have that. So it all kind of ties together. Now there is, of course, one more comparison to make. So let me just get these fellas off camera here for a moment. And where would we be without a comparison to Wild Zyuohger? Just kind of angle things around because of the enormous shoulders that Tousai Zyuoh has. And yeah, there you can see, he is definitely shorter than Wild Zyuohger, but not by a whole heck of a lot. And yeah, these also look quite good together, especially because here you've got the really broad shoulders and the really broad shoulders. It works. It definitely works. And I know I've been saying this a lot, but I'm totally into the Zyuohger line. I mean, not enough to get Doubutsu, at least not yet. But I have honestly been tempted ever since getting my hands on Tousai Zyuoh. It's just been a lot of fun to mess around with. Like, just stacking the cubes and transforming them back and forth because they're so simple, and just going back and forth between the different combinations. It is a lot of fun. It really is. And they look surprisingly good for being such simple shapes. It's just, like I said, it's amazing how much they're able to do by simply taking a cube and turning it to a different side, and suddenly, contextually, it just creates entirely new visual elements. It's just baffling to me how well they're able to do that. But anyway, that has been my look at Tousai Zyuoh. This guy is very cool, and I mean, honestly, I don't know that he's necessarily worth getting just on his own. He is neat, but I feel like it's, you know, the overall combination that you really want to get him for. Honestly, I feel like if you're going to get one thing out of the entire Zyuohger line, you're probably best going off with Zyuoh Wild, because it's just a really solid by its own, like on its own figure. Not that this is bad, like I said, it's just this guy on his own doesn't do quite as much as the others, because you only have really 2 transforming cube animals, because Rhinoceros doesn't really transform much, and this guy's big and cool, but he just doesn't quite have that same kind of interest as Zyuoh Wild or even Zyuoh King, but he is still cool. Still really, really like him. Just, you know, I think he works better as an accent piece than, say, a standalone. But anyway, that's it for Tousai Zyuoh for now. There will be more in the future, of course. You can bet on that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those 3 would make me a happy Rob. And remember, big ol' slabs of art are more than meets the eye.